באל. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו. Thankful for our lives, thankful for our souls, thankful for the miracles, wondrous to behold. Thankful for the morning, thankful for the afternoon, thankful for the evening.
Turning on the.
What is it called when they do the haircut?
Video on it.
When they, like when 2 or 3 And he's got long hair. Oh, look at us chatting. Okay. Am I going this temple? Mark there. Put, place, paste. Could this take any longer? Okay, we're there. Oh, well, whenever you're ready.
Are you ready? Great.
Sure, got a pick.
All right.
Good.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
We're glad that you're all joining us here, either in person or virtually, as we welcome Shabbat, a Shabbat that is probably sorely needed through this difficult week. So we're so glad that you're all here as we can enjoy each other's presence and singing together, and maybe also find some healing. We'll begin this evening, as we always do, with Hine Ma Tov Umanaim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good it is that we are all here together.
Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
We'll continue singing together, welcoming each other and Shabbat with Lo Yisa Goy, this beautiful, sort of haunting, but I think also comforting memory or melody that you may know perhaps from camp or just from growing up with its message that hopefully we will one day know peace. So please keep singing with us, Lo Yisa Goy.
Hey, yo. Oh, hey. Hey, yo. Oh, hey. You want to join me? Hey, yo. Oh, hey. Hey, yo. Oh, hey. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yimadu on milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yimadu on milchama. Hey, yo. Oh, hey. Hey, yo. Oh, hey. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yimadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yimadu od milchama. Hey, yo. Oh, hey. Hey, yo. Oh, hey.
Well, Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. We want to take an opportunity to welcome each other. So find someone near you, someone you know, even better, someone you don't know, and wish them Shabbat Shalom. If you're joining us virtually, let us know you're here in the comments. As we now move into lighting our Shabbat candles, I want to ask, is there anyone who would like to light the Shabbat candles for us? Anyone who wants to do it? Leah, thank you.
Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tziivanu lecha ad likner shel Shabbat.
Let's read together either on our slides or if you have a prayer book on page 3. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. We'll continue in singing together with Lecha Dodi as we welcome the Sabbath bride.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nikabla, Lecha Dodi, Likrat kala b'nei Shabbat. Nikabla. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach.
We're going to continue with Baruch Hu, our call to prayer, Am I Awake? I invite you, if you are able, to please rise.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 yada-dai-dai-dai. Baruch Hu et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 yada-dai-dai-dai.
You may be seated, and we'll continue with Ma'ariv Aravim, again on our slides or on page 30. Please join with me in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. We'll continue in the English. You are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. And we'll continue with Ahavat Olam on page 32. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them helps give meaning to our days. Never remove your love from us. Praised are you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We continue with the Shema on page 34. I invite you again, if you are able, to please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. We'll continue with our Micha Mocha prayer, our prayer for freedom, page 40. Please join us. As we head into Hashkivenu, we recall that the Hashkivenu prayer started when the Israelites were seeing dark descend, and back then there wasn't electricity. There were maybe wild animals. It was a time when perhaps there was a feeling of a lack of safety. And so Hashkivenu asks that God spread a shelter of peace, a Sukkot Shalom, over all of us, and that way we can pass through the night in safety. And today it has certainly been a dark week, and we pray for that Sukkot Shalom, for that Sukkot, that shelter of peace, that it be spread over us as we continue to grieve and to heal from the horrible events on Monday. So that is certainly our prayer as we send those prayers of love and healing to Highland Park, and we'll speak more on that later. But for now, and for all of us who are also in need of that peace and the beginning of that healing, we'll keep that in our hearts as we pray for Hashkivenu.
Shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, passion, and trust. Hashkivenu, Adonai.
We'll continue with Adonai Sifatai, beginning the Amidah, our standing prayers. And on that note, I invite you again, if you are able, to please rise.
Adonai, Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananana Ufi Agi Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Libnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mehayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshiach, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Tzomech noflim ve'rofeh koholim, Umatir asurim, Umechayim emunato lishenei afar, Michal mocha bagivurot, Umido melach, Melech memid umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emana talach hayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated, and we'll now take a few moments for silent prayer, using whatever words may be in your heart, or the words in the pages of our prayer book.
Say shalom, shalom b'romav. Uya say shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Uya say shalom aleinu ve'yakol
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We can certainly use some shalom, some peace and wholeness this Shabbat, because our world continues to feel so broken. What a horrible week. Once again, we looked on in terror and hopelessness towards Highland Park as yet another perceived safe space became one full of fear and violence and loss. Many in our community have close connections to Chicago and in Highland Park in particular. Some of us have lived in Highland Park or a suburb nearby. I know, Mark, that's true for you.
I actually have worked there for 7 years before I came back.
Yeah. Many of us have friends and family members there, and on Monday, many of us, myself included, rushed to reach out to them asking, "Are you safe? Are you okay?" Some of us know folks who were at that parade on Monday morning, who fled for their lives, who were injured, and some of us may even have known a victim. This is personal. It's too close for comfort. And the fact that Highland Park is a predominantly Jewish suburb, that adds a whole additional layer of fear and concern. Among those who needlessly lost their lives was Jackie, a dedicated synagogue staff member, Steve, 88 years old and full of life, who talked with his brother every day, and Irina and Kevin, a young couple who left behind a now orphaned 2-year-old. 7 souls who deserved so much better. And there are so many injured whose lives have changed forever, including a critically injured 8-year-old boy who may never walk again. It is horrifying and deeply disturbing that we must continue to endure these horrible shootings, seemingly without end. How can we stay present in such constant grief and horror? How do we stay afloat without becoming desensitized and numb? So as we turn to our tradition for guidance, it seems fitting that this week's Torah portion, Chukat, is a chapter of compounding grief. As the Israelites near their end of 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, Moses and Aaron lose their sister, the prophetess Miriam. We don't know how she dies, but immediately afterwards, the Israelites begin to complain that they are thirsty. Because these 2 verses are next to each other, the rabbis imagine that Miriam had a magical well that sustained the people in the desert and therefore dried up when she died. Some of us may have a Miriam's cup on our Seder plates to recall that. Perhaps Miriam's well was also metaphorical. Maybe Miriam's spirit and her leadership sustained the people with hope, and now she was gone. Regardless, Moses tells God about the Israelites' complaints. God tells Moses that he should command a particular rock to pour forth water for the people. But after Moses and Aaron assemble the people together in front of the rock, Moses shouts at the people, calling them rebels, and hits the rock with his staff instead of speaking to it. Water still pours forth out of the rock, but God is furious with Moses and Aaron for disobeying. God tells Moses that as punishment, he cannot enter the promised land. So why did Moses and Aaron disobey such a straightforward command from God? Well, maybe it was a bit of Moses' ego. Maybe he didn't want to be seen talking to a rock. But some scholars believe that the brothers were suffering from intense grief after losing Miriam. The text doesn't provide us with any evidence that Moses or Aaron took any time to mourn their sister. And the Israelites don't even acknowledge the loss either, instead berating the leaders about their own problems. It's not surprising that the ancient Israelites, not even a full generation out of slavery, didn't yet have any mourning rituals or established funeral and Shiva services. The reaction could have been their own manifestation of grief too, losing a beloved community leader. But to Moses and Aaron, who were missing Miriam the most, it probably came across as selfish and unfeeling. So it's no surprise, perhaps, that Moses reacts by hitting the rock out of his grief, anger, and frustration, and there are huge repercussions. Rabbi Dr. Lisa Grushkow writes, "Not mourning Miriam was a mistake with many consequences. It is a double loss for her family and her people. Not only are they missing her wisdom, but they are also missing the opportunity for healing and reflection that mourning can bring. Our sages wonder if Moses and Aaron had stopped to grieve with the support of their community, would they have been so rash to hit the rock? Now, at the end of our Torah portion, it is Aaron who passes away. But this time, Moses and the Israelites mourn for him for 30 days. Rabbi Dr. Grushkow writes that this could have been the patriarchy at work, since many women in the Bible pass away without mention or formal bereavement. But it's also possible that the Israelites experience a learning curve throughout the course of the portion, Moses included. They recognize the importance of acknowledging grief, and short-circuiting the process can do a lot of damage in the process. Perhaps this was the first step towards our tradition's substantial mourning and grieving rituals. During Shiva days, mourners are encouraged to completely stop their daily routine and be cared for by our community, with an opportunity to say Kaddish every day for a month if we choose, then monthly, and then annually. And I know many of us here tonight are here in memory of a loved one for a yahrzeit this evening. So our tradition encourages facing our grief, but not being consumed by it long term. This week, and for so many weeks before, we have all been mourners. For Robb Elementary School, July 4th in Highland Park. And in Akron this week, an unarmed black man, Jalen Walker, was shot dozens of times for a minor traffic violation. We may also be carrying the continuing conflict in Ukraine, overturning of our rights, the continuing effects of the pandemic, and too many more things to list, as well as our own individual hardships. We have been carrying significant and cumulative grief. Just like Miriam's well that sustained the people throughout the wilderness, we may also feel like our fuel, our reserves, perhaps even our hope, is running dry. But we are reminded this Shabbat to not force down or ignore that grief. This week, many of us may have turned to our smartphones, the TV, or changing the subject just to make it through the day so that the enormity of it all didn't completely overwhelm us. I know my favorite mindless phone game has gotten a lot of screen time on my phone this week. It can be necessary in the short term, but Shabbat presents an opportunity to resist that distraction and sit with our feelings now that it's been a few days. Because if we continue to distract ourselves and push down our feelings, we run the risk of lashing out. Like Moses, we may be so overcome eventually that we can't even verbalize it and disproportionately take out our feelings on something or someone without warning. We risk letting that energy manifest itself in less productive and potentially harmful ways. Moses reminds us that the most important moment is how we respond. We can't change what happened, but we can't just swallow the pain we feel as if it isn't there. A later book in the Hebrew Bible, long after Moses and Miriam and Aaron, grieves the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, called Lamentations. It begins with the word echa, which technically means alas, but scholars suggest it actually is a cry of pain that transcends spoken language. Perhaps we have felt that deep cry of echa within us over the last couple of weeks. This Shabbat, may we give ourselves permission and space to just feel our feelings. What is underneath the surface that we aren't giving air to? What echa is within us that needs crying out? What great grief and pain and fear of the future do we need to acknowledge? Whether it's a trusted professional, a family member, or a friend, or even a journal, may we find productive outlets to begin sharing and processing these big, overwhelming feelings so they are a little less hard to carry. We can be reminded that we are surrounded by loved ones and a community that is feeling the same way right alongside us. There are and will be plenty of ways to respond to, now and in the coming months, to support the Highland Park community and support greater change on a local and national level. And we can take plenty of hope in the fact that so many have responded, that this is not who we are as a country. For example, millions of dollars have poured in to help support the victims' families. When a rabbi in Chicago, Rabbi Wendy Geffen, asked for referrals for a pediatric back surgeon for the critically injured child, the family received over 100 referrals in a matter of hours. But for now, this Shabbat, may we focus on letting that Eicha cry out so that we don't run the risk of turning into Moses, reacting instead of responding, and hitting a proverbial rock when we should be speaking. I'd like to close with this poem about healing by John Rodell. Healing doesn't mean that you forgot where your scars came from or who gave them to you. Healing doesn't mean that your heart will go back to how it looked before the world so casually broke it. Healing doesn't mean that you are over what happened, whatever that means. Healing doesn't mean that you won't start crying again randomly. Your tear ducts are a broken faucet. Healing doesn't mean that the trauma you buried won't be unearthed. Most mummies often exhume themselves anyway. Healing isn't your final destination, where your wound is reduced to being a little anecdote that you tell during cocktail parties. Healing is the slow journey by train, across steep mountains where it feels like your car will spill over the edge any moment down into the abyss below. Healing is a wild pilgrimage into the vast unknown. Healing has the wheel now, and it doesn't need any backseat driving. Just be patient. Healing loves to take back roads. Just remember, healing has no finish line. Healing has no due date. Healing has no schedule. Healing has no use for maps. Healing has no instruction booklet. Healing is a perpetual motion machine. Healing is the constant itch on your soul. Healing is the maze without any exit. Don't rush your healing. Because what's the point? Healing never ends. Just because new skin has grown over your injury doesn't mean the ache is gone. Honor those deep pangs of yesterday. They are now chapters in your story. Be on friendly terms with your pain if it shows up for tea later today, because it will likely be back again tomorrow. Healing is the unfinished home that constantly smells of sawdust and new paint. Healing is the relentless tide that keeps trying to wash your feet. Healing just keeps going on and on and on. Healing keeps moving forward as a gentle reminder that we must do the same. As we continue that healing, we'll sing together a melody that I think has brought us a lot of healing over the years, Tree of Life by Nefesh Mountain.
Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. I am but a voice, just a cry in the air, but I sing nonetheless through this pain we share. Oh, sweet friends, come and dry your eyes and hold each other by this tree of life. I'm angry and I'm tired of this great divide, but I sing nonetheless with love on our side. Oh, sweet souls who feel broken now, we'll heal together somewhere, somehow. Time and again we have been let down, but we sing nonetheless, still whole and so proud. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there.
Thank you, Mark. On that note, we'll continue together, continuing our prayers for healing as we think of those in our community. And of course, we are thinking of Highland Park and all of those who are in need of healing, all of us in need of healing. This evening, our community is thinking of Catherine Adler, Marcia Ames, Marilyn Altman, Lynn Adams, Deborah Belford, Barbara Belford, Marjorie Block, Paul Branson, Lee Boudin, Roger Chirpy, Dan Kristen, Dorothy Collins, Lily Kovitz. We're thinking of Adrian Crawford, Rick Crawford, Gary Dicker, Tony Diegler, Carrie Ebert, Sylvia Eckstein, Elaine Ellick, Marvin Epstein, Michael Fiorelli, Rachel Fish, B. Gardner. We're thinking of Olivia Glick, Rachel Goldman Mosley, Jimmy Green, David Haas, Jamie Grace Cash, Don Kerr, Peter Levy, Barb Lucas, Angel Marrero, Fred Martin, Richard McGarvey, Minna Melton, Caleb Moses, Dick Nettleman. We're thinking of Robert Oakley, Nick Parisi, Merle Perlow, Aaron Phelan, Ian Phillips, Rashi Prestowski, Jessica Rathkopf, Cindy Ravitsky. We're thinking of William J. Rees, Barry Richmond, Zachary Rowe, Irving Rose, David Russell, Rolf Sauer, Marty Schuster, Aminadav Sella, Sherry Silverman, Yehudit Bat Simcha. Thinking of Richard Schur, Jonah Snyder, Ruth Ann Stewart, Pam Storer, Lou Supowitz, Joyce Schwartzman, Robert Weiss, and Randy Cohen Weinstock. If there's someone whom you're thinking of this evening, I invite you if you'd like to say their name aloud. For all those in need of healing, we'll sing together, Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBrecha Laimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBrecha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And let us say Amen.
We'll continue singing together as we begin our concluding prayers, first with Bayom Hahu, that God's name someday shall be one.
As it is written in the Emor, let it be said, God rules the earth, and that day God shall be one. V'haya Adonai, Melech HaKol Haaretz, on that day God's name shall be one. Bayom Hahu, Yeh Adonai Echad.
As we prepare for Mourner's Kaddish, I invite you, if you are able, to please rise. There are stars up above so far away, we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We first recall those who were lost far too soon on Monday in Highland Park. We remember Nicolas Toledo Zaragoza, Jacqueline Sunheim, Kevin McCarthy, Irina McCarthy, Steve Strauss, Catherine Goldstein, and Eduardo Uvaldo. May their memories be for a blessing. We also are recalling tonight those whom our community has lost in this season, within the first 30 days, and are observing Shloshim. We remember Harvey Augenbraun, Karen Lerner, Howard Miller, Arnold Reamer, Jim Rubenstein, Susan Shermer, and Beverly Wall. We are also remembering Jalen Walker. We also recall those whom we lost at the season in years past and are observing Yahrzeit. The loved ones we are remembering are Hortense Altman, Louis Bash, Richard Bash, Louis Bernard Jr., Jeffrey Cohen, Terry Elias, Elaine Feldman, Frederick Fogel, Simon Glazman, Harold Golden, Ruth Hirsch, Leah Jacobson, Eugene Jenny, Stanford Leibovitz, Norma McCombs, Sarah Owings, Enid Randall, Sam Rich, Arnaldo Roldan, Helene Siegel, Arthur Schifrin, David Sokol, and Evelyn Wernick. If there's someone whom you're remembering this evening, I invite you to say their name louder in your heart. For all of them, for those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, and for all those who were a blessing to humanity, we'll recite together. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. Amen. You may be seated. And we have very brief announcements as we are in kind of a slow period here in July. But if you would like to join us tomorrow morning for Shabbat services at 10 a.m., usually we're in the outdoor chapel, but I believe that because of all the rain, we will likely be gathering in the mezzanine. Please email Rabbi Benji if you're interested in coming. And we're going to continue, of course, having Shabbat services Friday evenings and also Saturday mornings, hopefully in the outdoor sanctuary. And we have a lot of fun stuff coming up in August, so please check your window and the e-window for all of the fun things coming up. So with that, we're going to continue with our closing song, and then we'll do Kiddush and Motzi. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, may each of us build a world of love.
Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Yadadai, Yadadai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. I will build this world from love. Yada-da-da-da-da-da. You must build this world from love. Yada-da-da-da-da-da. And if we build this world from love, yada-da-da-da-da-da, then God will build this world from love. Yada-da-da-da-da-da. Olam chesed yibaneh. Yada-da-da-da-da-da. Olam chesed yibaneh. Yada-da-da-da-da-da.
I'm gonna get around the candles here. All right. All right, please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And we'll continue with Motzi. Ha-motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is sung. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ha-motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Feel free to grab some challah. That concludes our service.